Welcome back. I haven't done a techniques video for ages, and I really felt like stitching today. So I thought, okay, that's what we'll do. And I don't know if you remember this piece, but we did the fly stitch leaves in a different tutorial because this is a V-neck um, collar or front decoration for a dress. And it was supposed to be my winter project, but I haven't actually picked this up and worked on it since the last video I made for you guys with it, because I've just got too many other different projects going on. But it's nearly the end of August and spring is starting to arrive, and it's made me think that, I might actually need to get a wriggle on with this because I'd like to be wearing this summer dress, maybe this summer. So that led me to think a little bit more about, I'm at an interesting part in my creative process in my career. So the way you see me thread painting now is not what I consider correct technique. Certainly not what I was taught at the Royal School of Needlework. Um, but more and more in recent years, I find myself adapting my technique, and there's a variety of reasons for that, but ultimately it's because I don't have the time to execute embroidery for a garment to the standard that I would a cushion or a bag or, like a smaller project. And that is simply because of the hours that it takes. And also, when you look at a framed picture or a cushion that somebody has beautifully embroidered, you can, oh, damn, I've just unthreaded my needle. Sorry, everyone. You can really see up close the detail. And so I always used to take pride in getting my embroidery as perfect as possible. With a garment, that's really not necessary because it's the overall look that makes the impact and gives the effect. And so the last couple of garments I've embroidered for myself, I haven't done fine embroidery. Like I'm using two threads, two DMC threads for this so that it, one, looks a little chunkier, and two, so that it grows a little quicker. So there's all these different justifications, I guess, really going on in my mind. And I actually feel a little bit guilty because I've been properly trained and I know how to do it. And I worked in that way for many, many years, but it no longer seems relevant to what I'm doing, to my lifestyle, to the time that I have to give to an embroidery. And so I have adapted. And I thought that would be an interesting thing for us to talk about. Where is that fine line, that boundary between developing a technique that works for you, for the piece that you're working on, for your lifestyle, for the time that you have to put into your creativity, and for your energy levels as well. I don't have the energy levels that I used to have when I was younger. I can't stitch for, I certainly can't tambour for like 8 or 10 hours a day like I used to be able to because my back hurts and I just can't do it anymore. So it's all things to consider as we grow and change. Our creative practice grows and changes. And also, when it comes to a practical everyday garment that I want to wear, I'm not looking for couture perfection in my embroidery because I want it to be an everyday garment. Now, I want it to be a very beautiful everyday garment, don't get me wrong, course I do. But, you know, as I explained, this end of the embroidery is very couture, lots of tambour, lots of fine, beautiful high-end embroidery, but it really isn't the everyday look that I wanted for this garment. So I am rethinking things. What I'm doing now is just drawing in my pattern again because it's rubbed off a little. And I'm just auditioning. This one I want the darker to come up a little bit higher um, in this section. So I am breaking all the rules with thread painting. I'm using 2 strands, not one. I'm stitching in all different directions. I'm not following any of the normal rules. And part of me loves it and part of me feels guilty. So very interesting for me to watch my behavioral patterns, watch the self-talk, the criticism that goes on, the justification that then comes in and goes, yeah, but this is what's right for me right now. Not everything has to be perfect. And is there a place for everything? For, you know, quicker, more everyday embroidery versus high-end couture meticulous embroidery? And I think the answer is yes. I've done both. I'll continue to do both. But it's working out what's right for you and your creative practice during different chapters of it. And there also comes with that a sense of freedom that I didn't used to have before. I've always felt um, that I wasn't good enough, that my work wasn't good enough. So I had to aim for perfection and for mastery. And besides the beauty of it, I think that's probably possibly what led me to couture embroidery because it's the best of the best. I wanted to be really good at something. I wanted to make something really beautiful. And I have learned to do that. Right, let's find a lighter color again. Even the way I keep my threads, there's this terribly messy little, you know, working tray I've got here. That's something I would never have allowed in the past. So I am softening and easing up on myself and changing. And I think that's a really good thing. It's very needed because I have been very harsh and very judgmental. So I guess there's a reflection point or a journaling point for you if you're looking for that this week. How are you harsh to yourself? Are you kind? Do you make mistakes and just use it as a learning experience, or do you beat yourself up? Are you never satisfied with your work because you're always aiming for perfection? Even if your work is good, are you still never satisfied with it? These are all traps of the mind that I have dwelt with and engaged with for much of my adult life. I'm going to do a waist knot here, my version of a waist knot. So I tie a little knot and then I come up and make 2 little stitches over the end of that thread. And that way, because especially because I'm on organza and I haven't got a big ugly knot at the back. Tuck my needle, cut that little tail off. And now I am coming up in between here and I'm splitting that dark thread. I need to redraw my line in. I'm having trouble seeing where that is today. Now I've gone to this really light color, but I'm not sure that I actually like that contrast. Let's see if I do. Making sure I split something here so that I get nice. You see my thread there was a little bit fuzzy. See, the inner perfectionist hasn't gone very far because I'm looking at that thinking, yeah, I can't live with it, but I'm going to keep stitching. Maybe I can. So back to you. and you're in a dialogue with yourself as you're creating. Are you kind and compassionate? I often try and imagine or remind myself that if I was 5 and I was trying something new and I didn't quite get it right, I wouldn't, beat myself up and say, oh, you're stupid, you can't do anything. You would gently encourage that younger part of you, that little child, to, well done, that's great. But see here, let's see if we can colour within the lines, or let's see if we can get our blending a little deeper, or you know what I mean. All of that kinder, softer, more gentle, nurturing talk, I think. And really giving yourself permission to play and explore and very much not knowing where to go and, not following a chart with A to Z rules. So you know exactly, it takes all the, well, for me, saps all the creativity out of a project. I think part of the constant thrill of creativity and excitement for me is stitching in the unknown, because you have a basic idea where you want to go, but you don't fully know where you're going to go next, how it's all going to pan out. I think the other thing that I've noticed in my embroidery and how it's changed is because of the amount of painting. I'm no longer focusing full time on textile and embroidery. A lot of my personal time is spent on painting and illustration, because it's not an area of strength to me, and I really want to reach a level of competency with it. And I have really struggled because of that perfectionist tendency. And I've got a knot in my thread. That's why I'm just fiddling around down here. Um, but recently, after quite a few years of dipping my toes in the water, not feeling good enough, stopping painting and drawing, and then coming back to it because there's a deep calling within me to do it. Um, I've I've finally got better at playing and experimenting. And in a way, if I muck up a painting early on, it's kind of a blessing, because then I already know it's dead in the water. I've got nothing to lose. So then I do become curious and playful. Um, and I just make marks and I try things I don't know if they're going to work, and just see how things, you know, pan out. And I can see how that is actually flowing through into my embroidery a little, because the way I was painting this morning, which is why it's coming to mind now, the way I'm stitching is faster and freer. I hope I've got enough thread. I've got a knot right in the thread and I can't move my needle down to finish off. Um, and I'm less attached to a perfectionist outcome. It's like, oh, all right, let's pick this little bit of thread up and let's see how this looks. And everything can be undone if it's really that bad. You can take it out and do it, do it again. Nothing's permanent. So I guess that's where I'm guiding you to think about your practice this week. Think about your internal self talk, whether you're kind to yourself, how you feel about failure, how you feel about mistakes, how you feel about perfectionist tendencies. Do you play? Are you curious? Do you allow yourself just to have a go at things, and it's okay if it doesn't work out? Because I do believe that my work has a different feel about it. It's less uptight, less perfect, less rigid, but maybe connects with people more because of that because I certainly have experienced that as a person. And I think that our work is just a reflection of our personality. Oh, that didn't work. My knot came out. Yeah, that our work is a reflection of our personalities and what is currently going on in our lives. So I might just stitch quietly for a second here. It really is quite difficult to stitch and chat at the same time. Right, let's see if I can cut my knot off this time without losing my thread. So now I'm slowing down a little and I'm just being a little bit more mindful about where I'm starting my stitches, where I'm finishing my stitches, how close I'm putting them together. I'm remembering to breathe instead of just to talk to you guys. And that brings me back into the present moment. And it just feels better when I'm stitching, when I'm just rambling on and stitching randomly. So I run out of thread, which is a little annoying, but it gives me an opportunity here to do something that I never would have in the past. So in the past, I would have found this color, threaded up that color again, and finished that petal off in, absolute perfection. I'm not going to do that today. This is all part of my playfulness. So I've got this little bit of the very lightest purple. Just going to do a little nice knot here. Now I'm going to come back with this highlighted shade. So if I was painting, that wouldn't be a problem. In fact, I would probably do that deliberately. But I've always been a little bit more rigid with my color blocking in embroidery. So see, I kind of like the gentle blending that that's given and the definition that that's given. And it felt good just to pick that little bit of thread up. And in fact, I'm going to leave it sitting there. I'm going to come back with my dark and then I will continue on with that little bit. So there's a little bit of, what will I call it? Crystal grey, authentic thread paint. And certainly not textbook Royal School of Needlework thread painting. But thanks for joining me again. I hope you found my ramblings helpful and inspirational. And I hope maybe that you reflect on some of the things that I've just been chatting about. All right, until next time, from my heart to yours, thanks so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.